women's football. Here on the Women's Football Chat Show.
Hello everyone, just bear with us. A few technical issues with this one since we've changed over to a new streaming system. So yeah, welcome to the very first episode of the Women's Football Chat Show. This is a brand new channel where we will talk all things women's football, club, country, tactics, drama. We'll talk about it all. Tonight we are going to kick off a few things with international. As you know, most of the women are on international duty, where we have got World Cup qualifiers taking centre stage, and of course a few friendlies run about it, so we will talk about that. As you can see, I'm joined by my brilliant guest, as usual. Mr. Paul, how you doing?
Yeah, all good. It's the end of another lovely week.
Yeah, Friday, and we're all happy, aren't we?
Of course.
Of course, none of us are ever happy when we don't have club football, as many of you know. We come from the Arsenal Women's Chat Show, but on this channel we're going to try not be too biased. We're going to put a couple of biased things aside, and we'll just keep that for the Arsenal Women's Chat Show. So yeah, my next guest up is the American Catherine. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm so happy it's Friday. So happy it's Friday.
You're always happy when it's Friday, innit? So
Yeah.
Kev, how are you doing? You all good?
Not too bad. Had one bit of good news this week, so that's improved my general mood. And I might actually finally get to go and see my local football team on Sunday.
Women's team? Or
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And what one's that, if you want to mention them?
Town.
Good. And where are they in the league?
They're in the National Southeast Division, and they're not quite going to make. They're not quite in the promotion race.
Yeah. So, does their did they get a lot of money pumped into them, or are they a team that needs money put towards them for them to be able to progress further than what they are?
They're not doing too bad. I mean, they originally were Gillingham, but then they got shafted by Gillingham Football Club. No surprises there. And Chatham Town said, "Well, come and join us, play at our ground." And they've actually got Keith Boyannis is the manager. He used to manage Charlton years ago. And his missus is Pauline Cope.
Yeah, that's good. As long as it moving forward, teams like that start to obviously get some money pumped into them, and then they can obviously progress through what they have to progress through, and hopefully it's a team that we'll see in obviously some of the lower leagues soon. So, right, we've got a lot to obviously get through, so we'll obviously get straight into it, and we'll start off with the big one. Obviously, it being England versus Spain. So over 70,000 tickets have been sold, but remember, apparently no one cares about women's football. But 70,000 people are magically going to show up at Wembley and care about women's football, aren't they? So yeah, that's a very big number for women's football, isn't it?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, there was 85,000 for the Euro final that was there a few years ago. But yeah, I was there for that one. It's great to see those numbers just keeping going for the big games. Obviously, we are European champions, so and Spain being the world champions, it is going to be a big draw. It's and you are going to get them there. I mean, when the group was first announced and they still hadn't decided where the games were going to be, you knew that one was going to be at Wembley right from the word go, because it would have got the crowd. So yeah, pleased to see it being played at Wembley. Pleased to see the other games sort of moved around the country. yeah, for a game like that, it had to be Wembley, and it's great that 70,000, like you say, is great. It's not going to feel like it's half empty.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago for a game against Sweden, and there was only about 45,000 in the stadium for that, and it really felt empty. It was a bit like, well, why are they playing this game here at Wembley? But that was a Tuesday night again, I think. Tuesday or Wednesday night midweek.
I still obviously think as a Scot that is some amazing numbers, even for a weekday. Like, we are obviously seeing it at the Emirates week in, week out, being in the Champions League, and of course we see those kind of numbers starting to pile in through the week as well. So those numbers are still amazing. As I say, as I touched on, apparently no one cares about women's football, but you have these kind of numbers showing up to stadiums week in and week out, and it just kind of shuts everybody up, in my opinion. Kev, I'll come to you. Obviously, these two teams are the best teams in Europe right now. Obviously, and Spain being the best in the world. Obviously, we won in the World Cup. But every time they meet, it delivers, doesn't it?
Oh, Christ, yeah. I mean, and they know each other so well. So it is, it can be end to end, or it can be a chess game.
Yeah.
But it's yeah. I mean, it's going to deliver. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic spectacle for those that are going. I won't do Wembley midweek because I'm very lucky if I catch the last train home. So
can you not tour Stina around Wembley, no?
Probably get away with it, but yeah, it's a bit much. My half likes international breaks, so let's just park that one. But yeah, it's going to be a fantastic game, fantastic atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to sitting in the armchair with a can of beer.
Yeah, that's probably what I would do if I was a man watching that game. I'd sit down, have a beer, but hey ho, I'm not a man. So, Paul, the obviously the big talking point in this England game versus Spain is Leah Williamson. She's been out from Arsenal with injury. We have, as Arsenal fans, we have been hoping that she's going to be back, and then of course she gets called up for the England squad, and we're all sitting a bit confused in why she's been called up. Do you think she'll be back she'll be ready in time? Because we've seen that she was doing individual training for England over the last few days, and yeah, I just don't think she's going to be ready for this Spain game at all. What's your thoughts on that one, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, she's been out for so long, and when she was in, she wasn't really playing full matches. She was just sort of just getting back to fitness, and picked up another injury again. I just don't think she'll be ready for that type of a game. I mean, this is the top game. It's, as we've said, Spain are world champions, so you need the 11 players that start and the players on the bench to be 100% match fit, ready to go. And I just don't think she's going to be at that level to be there. I mean, okay, great that if Serena wants her there as part of the squad for a morale booster and her experience, her leadership qualities that she can add to the dressing room, fantastic. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just can't see her ready for the game. And also, you've got to think as well, there's these two international games. But then you look at the fixture pile up coming up domestically afterwards. If she goes and picks up another knock because she comes back slightly too soon, or she's not match ready and she's thrown in at the deep end, how many more weeks could it rule her out for? Because domestically there are really important games coming up in both the WSL and the Champions League.
Yeah, it's a very heavy schedule that's about to come up for obviously the WSL schedule, especially the ones who are still in Champions League, i.e. Arsenal, the only ones from England that are still in the Champions League. So even though at one point we were thinking, could we go a bit further in the FA Cup? But yeah, I think the best thing at this moment in time as an Arsenal fan is, yeah, we want to get a day out in Wembley, but I think the best thing for us is to drop out of that FA Cup and then, of course, focus on Champions League and then in getting that second spot and the WSL, which I think would be better for Arsenal. Kev, if she does start for England, people are going to ask why she hasn't obviously started for Arsenal recently. Is the difference in how club and country are managing her? Like, what club will do a different assessment on Leah than obviously England will? Or do you think, as Paul touched on, it might be tactical?
I said when they first called her up, I hope it's like a Ryder Cup captain role, a non-playing captain. So she's in there. Everybody respects her, and she's got a lot to offer mentally as well.
Yeah.
She reads a good game. She talks a good game. So as in that respect, as skipper, you want her in and around the team, whether she's playing or not. So they both, Serena and Renee, talk about working together and assessing players, and just working together for the best outcome. So we just hope that's true.
Yeah.
I can't see Leah playing against Spain. I can see her getting minutes against Iceland. Because what you got to remember is that she's drafted in Neve Charles. Alex Greenwood's back. Obviously, they've got Lotta. So they have got options, good options.
Yeah.
So there's no need to throw Leah to the wolves.
Yeah, definitely there, Paul. Kev, sorry. Mixing the two yous up the night, so I'll call you Paul and I'll call Paul Kev, right?
Please don't call me Paul or Kev.
Kev, you've obviously touched on it a little bit in the comments there in terms of England aren't short of centre backs, are they? So even if Leah doesn't start, how do you see England lining up obviously in centre backing pairing? Because as Kev said there, you've got Lotta, you've got Neve Charles, you've got Alex Greenwood. How would you see them setting up in that game?
I think all Arsenal fans are going to say if you have no Leah, then you start Lotta, Ruben Moy. Just in what she has provided and like her ability to step up when Leah is out injured only gets seen at Arsenal. It doesn't get seen at the international level. Like, yeah, she has 2 Euro trophies to her name, but she didn't play a single minute. And I think England could have leaned on Ruben Moy a little bit more. And I mean, no offense, I just pulled up the full squad and the defenders, but like, no offense to some of these other center backs that are on there. Lotta Ruben Moy is probably your best choice to be replacing Leah Williamson. And personally, if everyone was fully fit, I would say start the 2 Arsenal center backs.
Yeah.
I would even say over Alex Greenwood, because I think that's even still a question mark, because she's also only coming back from injury just now. So is she truly fully match fitness to be able, or fully match fit to be able to be playing against Spain and against Iceland? Because yeah, you want to top the group in these World Cup qualifiers and it's an automatic qualification, but you can't let it slip too much where you finish 3rd and you're not even qualifying for the World Cup. So I think I just pulled up, England's last squad against Spain. I mean, and we're looking at a minimum of at least probably 2 changes, if not 3, from that starting 11. So right now I would say do Alex Greenwood and Lotta Ruben Moy as the center back pairing. And then you've got Taylor Hines available to you. I mean, Taylor Hines can play out wide over Lucy Bronze. Or she could play on the left as well. Esme Morgan, I would even say you could get her some minutes. I would personally keep Jess Carter on the bench against Spain.
Yeah, bearing in mind you've obviously got Maya Letizia in there. I know it's a big laugh over
Oh,
that.
right,
at the
right.
moment,
Yeah,
but-
sorry. I was thinking that she was a right back for a second.
Yeah, I was going to say that there. I think most people, when she pulls in England top on, think she's a right back. But of course, her natural position at Man United is obviously centre back pairing. And as I say on this channel, we will take our Arsenal blinders off, and let's not take that away from Maya Letizia, that she is a brilliant defender and an excellent captain at that for Man United. So I don't think England are very short in terms of centre backs, and I don't think over these two international games that Leah needs to be played at all, because I just think, as we say, she's just been called up in terms of to be a mentality monster in the dressing room because she's the captain at the end of the day. But I think taking the captaincy away from Leah, and not saying take it away from her fully, but take the whole captain thing away from it. Leah Williamson technically shouldn't be at international when she's not really played a lot for Arsenal at the moment. And of course, we always hear Serena saying, "Oh, I won't pick players if they haven't been playing." So why have you picked Leah Williamson if she's not been playing? I just don't get what a thought process was there. Neither do.
I think one of the most puzzling things is that Serena had originally called up 23 players.
Yeah.
Freya Godfrey had to stay back with London City due to like a shoulder injury or an elbow injury or something. She stayed back with her club. Serena brought in a replacement. We're now still at 23 players. But then she went on and said, "Hey, we're also calling up Niamh Charles," which you're like, okay, so is this her telling us kind of inadvertently that I'm bringing in another defender because a certain defender is not going to be playing?
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of an interesting, you've been calling up players to replace players, and now you're calling up a player to add to the squad in a position where you're likely losing your captain. So I mean, honestly, I would, even though Niamh Charles is coming back from injury, I would probably even say start her over Lucy Bronze.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we noticed in the Champions League that Lucy Bronze wasn't exactly up to herself. I still think Lucy Bronze carries a little bit of an ego from previous problems that she's clearly spoken about, and it's not really been addressed properly with Lucy Bronze simply because of the calibre of player that Lucy Bronze is, and she just kind of brushes it off. So I think sometimes that can affect England in terms of Lucy kind of brushing that past and moving on with some things. So yeah, Ryan has said obviously Serena needs a leader, clearly, especially for the Spain game. Like, Paul, I think there's plenty of leaders in that England squad, isn't there? That you've got Alex Greenwood, Kira Walsh, you've got Maya Letizia. Like, there's plenty of leaders that could take over for Leah in that Spain game, couldn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I personally would have no objections to her being with the squad, but being named as a potential player in the squad after the injury and the no game time, that's where my concern personally comes from. But yeah, I say on the pitch itself, there are loads of leaders in that dressing room. I say Alex Greenwood, Letizia, Georgia Stanway, Kira Walsh. You know, they've all either captained the England team or they captain their respective clubs. So yeah, we have got some great, strong players that will be out there on the pitch. But you go back a few years ago in the men's team, and David Beckham as captain had the injury, but he still travelled with the squad, and he was still there, giving his his take on it and things. And I think that's probably what Leah should be doing, concentrating on that side rather than trying to play.
Obviously, Jason has mentioned as well that Leah did individual drills today before the team practice. She did not practice today with the team. I cannot see her playing with her fitness. It's also concerning for Arsenal/Leon match, which we have been saying for the last few weeks as Arsenal fans that it's very concerning the amount of time that Leah Williamson has been out. And I suppose we could talk about it all night long in terms of this show, but yeah, we're not there seeing behind the scenes in terms of what Leah's going through at the moment. Personally, I think it could maybe be a personal reason that Leah has kind of said, you know what, let's not rush me back here, because it could be Arsenal that could be saying, you know what, nope, you're not fit, you're not going on that pitch, we're not risking you, which previously we would have said if Steph Catley would have been fit and wasn't away to the Asia Cup, that you could tell Leah to maybe sit out for a couple of weeks and rest up. But at this moment in time, we're really relying on Leah coming back and perfectly fit. So, Kev, I'm now going to switch it over to Spain, who also have a huge absence in Aitana Bonmati. That's just not any player to lose. Do you feel their midfield suddenly feel different with our creativity and control in there?
It will be different, and I'm absolutely gutted. Can you tell? Not to say that weakens them that much, because, I mean, their midfield players are exceptional, and that's where they run games from. But Bonmati does make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you need a moment of brilliance, she's going to bring it, unless it's a Euros final, of course, and then it doesn't happen. But
she doesn't show up for the big games, Kev.
But yeah,
that's 2 Euros finals she's not showed up for, isn't it, Kev?
There's still a force to be reckoned with, and like I say, our midfield's got to turn up and cancel them out, basically, and restrict. I mean, they are so good at close passing, the close control, and they are difficult to stop. But we've got the players that can do it. We've proven it, and without Bonmati, they are just a fraction off. But we know defensively they're not that great.
Yeah.
If you get at them, and attacking wise, we got options. So yeah, I think they will miss Bonmati, but I think we'll have a bit too much for them. I'm backing us to win that.
It's always a battle between them, as I say, isn't it? And plus on the flip side, obviously for Spain, they have got Patrigue Harrow back, which is massive for them. That gives them that balance again in midfield, as you touched on, Kevin. There, I think she's also been a miss for Barcelona and for Spain. Obviously, during her injury, Spain haven't really played much, but I think that will be a massive boost for them in the midfield,
provided she's 100% fit.
Yeah, she's been playing a lot of games for Barcelona. I think she's been playing up to like 70 minutes for Barcelona at the moment. So I think she's obviously back. But we know what injury can do to players. It can take a little bit of time, especially when they've been out for such a long period. It can take a lot of time for a player to really find their fitness back again, obviously, to get their confidence back up. We've seen it plenty of times, haven't we, Kev? So.
But then what you've got to look at is the level of opposition she's been playing against.
Yeah.
Because for Barcelona, has anybody given them a game? Well, I think Madrid gave them one game, but that was it.
The game that was already done and dusted at that point in time.
Oh, that one, yeah. But they had, it's just no opposition.
Yeah, it's
why their players need to come to the WSL.
I think, Kev, I think that needs to be a show that we really need to have on here in terms of La Liga F and speaking into that, and obviously looking into how much other teams round about Barcelona invest in their teams and stuff. So maybe I'll speak to George and get a La Liga F show out there and we can speak about that, because as I say, this channel is going to be all about women's football across the board in terms of what we can speak about, and it won't just obviously be the WSL, it'll be the Scottish League, like the NWSL, international, stuff like that. So maybe talking about Liga F then is going to be a good show to maybe talk about in terms of how other teams run about their invest in their teams, and how Barcelona keep running away with the league year in and year out. So Catherine, this one, who takes it? Who takes the one? Who's going to come out on top?
I think this will be like a 0-0 or a 1-1. I don't. For me right now, I don't see anything else other than a draw in 90 minutes, which can't be upset with a draw in 90 minutes, especially. I think England would still technically be top of the table.
I'm just
Yeah,
about to
England
double
would still
check
be.
that.
Yeah, so England are top on goal difference with a goal difference of +7. Spain are at +5. So, I mean, both teams want the win, but I also think that both teams could be settling for a draw. It's going to be, I mean, as the last 3 games have conspired between the two of them. In 90 minutes, we had, the Euros final in 90 minutes. That was a draw. Game before that, Spain won 2-1. Spain were home. Game before that, England won 1-0. England was home. So it's, I can very much see it as like a 1-1. I don't think anyone will take this game.
Yeah.
And if
It's
there is going to be an outright winner, it's going to be like some like fluky 1-0 to England or 2-1 to England, like a late winner.
It'll be an interesting game for sure. So I think, as we can see, you've got 2 Englishmen in here that could probably talk about England all day long, but unfortunately we only have an hour for a show and we're half an hour past already, and we have plenty of other teams to talk about. So let's move on to obviously Ireland and Poland. Both teams would probably be labelled the underdog of this group, which is Group A, especially alongside France and the Netherlands. Paul, Ireland are currently bottom after 2 losses. Poland sit third with a loss and a draw. So realistically, can any of these 2 teams qualify?
I think if there's whichever team loses in that game is probably out, because you could potentially say if France or the Netherlands beat each other both times, it puts one of the others back into the mix to finishing second in that group. But yeah, there's an outside chance, but realistically between those two, I think it's just for who doesn't want to be relegated down into a lower league in future competitions.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because Netherlands and France have been teams that have been up there against, obviously, like England and Spain and stuff. They have really pushed, and then Ireland and Poland get put in a group like that. It's essentially a group of death, isn't it? Like, especially for Ireland and Poland, who are just really fighting to keep themselves afloat at this moment in time, in terms of how much investment their FAs has been putting into them as well. Kev, for Ireland, what do you think they need to do to be considered as like a genuine top tier European team?
Yeah, again, back to investment, but I know there's lots of conversations going on, and the Irish FA are being battered by the likes of Katie McCabe. she's very outspoken about what they need to do. But it's also a case of getting more of their players into top tier teams, or to bring that level up. Because I mean, that's what you find with the top tier international teams, the likes of France, Spain, England, Netherlands, Germany. All their players are playing at the top level at clubs. Yes, I know the Irish have got a much smaller pot to pick from. Pretty much, probably the same as Poland. There's not that much women's football, and certainly not being pushed. So it is a case of getting out there, which they're doing by. I mean, they had a good game against France.
Yeah.
They
pushed France, so they did Ireland.
Went ahead, and it was only the subs coming on for France that changed the game.
Yeah.
Bloody Man United players. But yeah, I mean, Mallard was superb, but it took that to beat Ireland. So they're knocking on the door, and they just need that little shove to, take these teams on and start getting results. I mean, I would expect them to beat Poland.
I think where I read, Kev, is something along the lines of like Ireland's league hasn't fully went professional yet. So I think, as we touched on, their investment needs to be put in to allow these players to go full time. I think Amber Barrett, that plays for Ireland, I don't know if she's been called up this time, but I know that she is also a doctor. So you think how intense her job is out within, how intense her job is out within obviously the Ireland squad, and then she gets called up to that, and you think, is she fully focused to be in that Ireland team? Like, I know I wouldn't. If I had to do my job and put myself into an international team and put full focus into that, I wouldn't be where Ireland are at this moment in time. Like, I just think they need to put more investment in. And as we touched on, Catherine, we said about obviously Katie McCabe, she's not just their best player, but she's the voice of the team. How important is her role in representing Ireland, not just in performance, but as a spokesperson for them?
It's probably, she's probably has more of a voice and is able to speak out much more than like any of like the men's side. I mean, I don't really follow the Ireland men's team, but I don't really hear of any of their players speaking out. But it also might just be that my Twitter feed isn't coded to the Ireland men's side. But the way that McCabe is just speaking out and just trying to bring the awareness, I mean, we saw it be like the most effective for England right after their first Euros win, and then that massively helped. But then it's like Ireland, you have at least one player who is majorly speaking out, and they're doing what seems to be like nothing. And I think, the more that she can speak out, the better, but there's only so much shouting you can do on deaf ears. So it's then it comes to the point of like, okay, if I'm going to shout and you're going to ignore me, what's the point at this? But I think it's all about consistency. And if you keep on calling people out, then more and more people are going to realize that, yeah, this is an issue and it needs to be talked about.
Definitely. Obviously, I'll touch a little bit on it when we come to Scotland. Scotland is the same. The FA isn't really pushing as much as we would like them to push. But as I said, we'll talk about that when it comes to Scotland. I'm a Scot that's not going to miss out in Scotland, am I? So here we go. Paul, we'll switch it over to obviously Poland in terms of Eva Pajor. Do you think Poland are too reliant on her? Like, we know at this moment in time she's Barcelona's top goal scorer, but Poland are also in the same barrel as as Ireland, that investment in the rest of the team isn't really there, but you do have big names like Eva Pajor in your team. Do you think they're too reliant on her?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few countries that we'll see over the next few days that they're not up there in the same league really as your Spain's, England's, Germany's, and with the level of investment. But they do all seem to have those one or two players, and when those players are not in the team, then you really notice a difference with them. It's almost, it's almost comparing your, big teams like your Arsenals and Man Uniteds over here to your small teams like your West Hams and Leicesters in the WSL. It's like watching potentially two different teams, but with the same, say, 10 players on the pitch. So yeah, I think that there's a few teams, and Poland being one of them, that do rely on those couple of sort of star players.
I would like to point out Poland are without their left winger for this first game against Ireland. She got a second red card in the game against France, and she played 66 minutes against the Netherlands and played until she got suspended in the France game. So that could impact Poland in that game. Just being down, you're essentially your star starting left winger.
And who is that's out for that? Sorry, Kathleen.
I'm not gonna try and say their name.
If you want to put that in the comments for anybody, then I can pull it up so that it doesn't embarrass you in terms of butchering her name.
I would say Crazy Man, but that's not
Crazy Man. We'll obviously move on while Catherine's obviously putting that in the comment. So here, this is the name of the person that we're chatting about here for Poland, who is obviously going to miss it due to suspension. So it is. We'll move on to obviously Netherlands and France. Netherlands and France is a huge one in that group, and France obviously are top of that group with 2 wins, and the Netherlands have a win and a draw. So this could decide who really takes. Obviously, that game could obviously decide who takes top of that table. Kev, France have left Wendy Renard out of the squad, which feels a very big decision coming from obviously the French camp, and she's obviously been a very big presence in the French team as well. Is that a massive loss, or are France transitioning away from some of their older leaders?
Yeah, I think they're trying to move forward. I mean, let's not take it away. Wendy Renard, if you've got corners, your defending team's in trouble. It's just, and she didn't need to bother jumping most of the time.
No,
just walked in and put her head on it. Yeah. So it's a big miss. It's a bigger miss up top than it is at the back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they are trying to move forward, and they've got enough skillful players on the ball, with the ball at their feet, that don't actually need to rely on, because I mean they used to rely heavily on those set pieces, and I don't think they need to do that so much these days.
Yeah.
I mean we know what players they've got. I mean you've only got to look when Lyon are playing in the Champions League, number of the French players, and they are good. They're quick. Mm-hmm. And I would fancy them to beat the Netherlands, much as I love a couple of the Netherlands players, even though one of them doesn't play for us anymore, Arsenal. But, yeah, I can see France turning Netherlands over. I think Netherlands are 3 or 4 players short of where they need to be. And I don't really see them bringing through people to replace what's gone. They've just lost something lately, but over the last few years.
There was obviously big problems at France as well that we heard for a little while just after the Euros, wasn't there, Kev? That there was problems with the manager being abusive towards players, and there was a big hoo-ha regarding that. And I think France have went through a transition as well in terms of a new manager coming in, new captain, stuff like that. Those are things that you would think would unsettle a team, but I personally think in the Euros, France was one of the ones that we were thinking, oh Jesus Christ, do we really want to get them in the final, because they were so good in the last Euros, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, as I say again, it's down. They've got a lot of pace in a lot of areas, and if they get a run at you, trying to turn around and chase them, you're fighting a losing battle. So you've got to keep them playing in front of you.
Yeah.
Which, are the Dutch good enough defensively to maintain that? Probably not. But yeah, I think the problems France had, I think with what went on, I think it galvanised the players, turned them into a stronger team.
Yeah. Of course, something like that can pull a team together sometimes, can it? Like, we seen that with England after the World Cup, that they brought in Serena, and then, of course, there was, if anybody's read Beth Mead's book, that she has mentioned that after the World Cup that obviously, what do you call him, had left just before Serena. Phil Neville. That just before he had obviously left, there was a few problems in camp between players and etc. And then Serena had come in and kind of said, right, let's iron this out. And then, of course, they go on and win the Euros. And that sometimes just ironing those problems out can make a team better. And I think that's what happened with France in this Euros. Catherine, obviously, for the Netherlands, the big news that's come out is that Vivianne Miedema hasn't went to international camp due to injury. That for me will mean that the Netherlands will miss her, like her cutting the edge to her game. And she's so clinical. She's another one that's so clinical in the midfield for the Netherlands. She's another name that without they will struggle, won't they?
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking at the Netherlands' last lineup, which was against Ireland, and she was playing in the same role that she plays in City, which is not up top. And I think they're just going to be missing what she brings to the pitch, and I think her talent tends to speak more for itself, and where you can see defenders or even some midfielders who are marking her, she tends to get a little swarm of them following her around, more than just one player. So that helps free up other players on the pitch. And if she's gone, I think it's gonna be a lot more of as we call it over here, man-to-man coverage, rather than floating to essentially the most dangerous player, when she is Netherlands' top scorer for a reason. She is their most dangerous player, and when you remove them from the pitch, it takes away their focus on the one player to focus on the entire team. I'm not saying that like they only focus on her when she's on the pitch, but she tends to just drag whenever she's on the ball, or you're anticipating she's going to be getting the ball. She tends to drag at least one extra defender with her, and which helps free up other plays as well. So it is going to be a big mess. I don't know if she got called up, but Chastity Grant, who plays for Villa, she came on to replace Miedema in their last game. at the international level. So Chastity Grant isn't exactly someone that can't provide anything. She's been
Yeah.
doing pretty good at Villa
We've
this
seen her doing
season.
it in the WSL for Villa, as she says. Like,
Mhm.
she's not a silly player. She's a good player. Obviously, we seen her. Well, I've watched a few of the clips from Ajax as well, and yeah. But I do think Viv Miedema will be a very big miss for them, especially when they do have that big game against France. So they do. Like, so yeah, as many people can see, I am the Scottish one of the group, and we will be talking about Scotland. We were talking about Scotland and Belgium. Like, I'm not going to miss a chance on that one, and I am very surprised to say that Scotland are top of the group, and they are top of the group in goal difference. It just depends in these next couple of games how it goes, but Scotland are also going through a very big transition period, and they obviously brought in new manager Melissa Anderetta from Australia. She did work with Joe Montemuro at Lyon, so I think that is a very big shout for Scotland to bring in someone like that. They have obviously just announced that Caroline Weir will take captain, and of course, my very good friend Erin Cuthbert. Not a friend, but if anybody watches the Arsenal Women's Chat Show, will know how I feel about that one. But when it comes to Scotland, I'll stick up for her. Has obviously been announced as vice captain, and their last tournament was the 2019 World Cup. For me, that is a very long time. And the years of Scotland, we foot round about these big tournaments. So, Paul, what do you think Scotland need to do to get to the next major tournament?
Well, looking at the other teams in their group, I can't see them having a problem finishing in the top two in that group. I mean, it's Belgium are a very good side. On paper, I'd probably expect them to win the group. But looking at like Israel and Luxembourg, I think Scotland have got way too much quality to trip up over them. So
But it's Scotland, Paul.
yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, I suppose they are the Spurs of the international scene, so it's possible.
Yeah.
But if they can get a point on the board against Belgium, pick up a draw against them, then they've got all the chance of going on and winning the group.
Yeah, definitely. I think I have a little bit of hope. I'm hoping they're taking the good old strength for the men's team that's just qualified and putting it into their own. Kev, if you look round about teams, there's not really very many Scottish names round about. I know, like, for me, the structure in Scotland is not strong enough here, right? Although we have seen good names come out of Scotland, i.e. Kimmy Little, Julie Fleeting, Erin Cuthbert, Caroline Weir. Like, for me, the structure in Scotland is still not good enough. Do you think some of these players maybe need to brand out in terms of going abroad, NWSL, WSL, to obviously be able to then be called up to the Scotland squad, and you can kind of look at them and say, do you know what, like, these are really good players? Because when I watch Scottish football, there is some talented Scottish football players there, but I don't think, as I say, I don't think the Scottish structure is that good for them to progress in terms of being named as a good player.
Yeah, I think it's similar to the Irish situation. You need your better players coming up through grassroots into your sort of nearer your top of higher leagues. They need a pathway.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got that in Scotland, then somebody's got to go up to Scotland from England, from NWSL, from wherever, and pick up these better players and take them away for their own benefit. Because if they've got the drive to hit the top levels, They need to be somewhere where they can achieve that.
Yeah.
And if that can't be achieved in Scotland, then yeah, they've got to go elsewhere.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, that is until you've got the investment through the pyramid and the top clubs are putting the money into the women's teams with facilities. It's not about making them professional and paying them a fortune. It's about providing them with the facilities to make them the best they can be. I watched Crossways with Steph McCaffrey today, who's gone in at Leyton Orient, and they're in Tier 7. They're not paying the players, but they've got health insurance. They feed them properly after games. They train it, and these players have got full-time jobs. They train once or twice a week, and they're whooping the arse off of teams in their division because the FA wouldn't let them go any higher. They're winning games 28-0.
Yeah.
But they've got the right setup to let the players enjoy playing the football, and like I say, with the health insurance, the right nutrition.
Mhm.
You know,
I think-
if that can be done at a club like Leyton Orient in Tier 7, surely you need the investment, but surely somebody, local entrepreneurs, get involved, back your local teams, and so they can improve their facilities and just the way they go about things.
Yeah.
It's
I think for me in the Scottish tier, and again this could be another show and it probably will be one day, but I think for me the only teams that really provide that kind of structure for the players is Celtic, Rangers, Glasgow City. I think those are the only 3 teams in the Scottish tier that pay their players full time wage. Any other team in the SW, like the SWSL, like they're not they're really not there full time in terms of how they provide for the women. They're not at a proper training facility. They don't pay them in terms of the way that women should be paid. They don't feed them. The simple wee things like that you touched on, Kev, that I think if you're going to play in a big league like the NWSL or the WSL, the SP, like WSL, like I think teams should really be saying, you know what, we need to sit down and think, how can we provide for these players, because we need their full attention, we need their full time here. I know the Celtic captain, although she's full time, she's still an accountant off the pitch. So to me, that suggests that she's not even getting paid enough to keep herself alive playing professional football in the Scottish League. Like, that is just dreadful, and I wouldn't expect me to not live off my wage the way that these teams expect their girls to live off of it. So it is. Catherine, I'm quickly going to move on to Belgium here, because I notice the time is drifting away from us here. We might even be going over there for a little bit here. But do you think Belgium are at the level now that they can consistently trouble the top European teams, or do you think they're still building on their team?
I think they're definitely still building. I'm looking at their past fixtures. I mean, they've played Ireland, it seems, quite a few times, and that was in the Nations League. And that's hit or miss on a win or loss. But when they play against Spain or France or England, I mean, they had the wonderful 3-2 win in April of last year against England. But the game before that, they conceded 5 goals. They conceded 6 against Spain and another 5 against France. They seem, I don't know, I feel like if you were to put all of the European teams in a league table, they would be a consistent mid-table team.
Yeah.
I think, we can see it a couple times where, at like the beginning of like the FIFA calendar, they might jump up there and compete, and you're thinking, oh, they can stick one over and they can put one over on France or on Spain or on the Netherlands, and then they do that, and you're thinking, oh, maybe they can get another, and then it just seems to drop off. So I think there's still very much a young and building squad. Kind of just giving a quick look down at their player ages. Yeah, their current average age is probably like 24, 25.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of players that are in their mid 20s with a couple 18 to 20-year-olds and like 2 or 3 that are over 29. So they're still a very young squad, and I'm even looking at some of the clubs that they play for. A lot of the players Arsenal fans would have seen when we played Leuven. We've got like 5 or 6 players there, but I'm not seeing really any outside. I mean, there's a couple that play for Inter. There's one that plays for Crystal Palace. A couple play in the German league, but it's
I think the one for Crystal Palace has just announced that she's pregnant though.
Probably. She's also the 33-year-old that's on their list here. So they definitely seem to be going through trying to find their footing. I think they can get those like surprise games in there and have let me pull up this. They
shocked England not that long ago. Let's not forget that.
Last year they put 3 past England before England got their first goal, and then they know how to score goals against the big teams. It's, do they know how to score goals consistently against the big teams? Without conceding? Because see, they scored 2 against Spain in July of 2025, but Spain thumped them and put 6 in their net.
Yeah.
So they can score the goals against the big teams. It's just, can they defend? And they showed that they could last April against England. So
yeah.
I think there's a lot more to come from them, and I'll be anxious to see how they perform over the next 2 or 3 years, and seeing, can they qualify for the World Cup? How do they perform in the World Cup? Olympics are thrown in there too. In this,
it's a team to watch. I think Belgium, it's a team to keep an eye on. I think going forward, because I think their FA has also done a lot of work on them as well to try and get them to better facilities, better team, and obviously provide them with a lot more things to make them better. So it is. I was going to obviously touch on Norway and Germany, but as I say, we're slowly but surely running out of time, and I think Paul wants to touch on this little one. We asked a few, what teams do you want to talk about, and Paul threw Gibraltar out there. So it made me do a little bit of homework, and I think to say that they have lost all their games, which is a shame, because they have a very limited player pool, which shows there's still a lot of work to be done in the women's game in terms of getting smaller countries like Gibraltar up there. They play Croatia. I didn't check in terms of the group, because I just noticed all their losses and thought, right, okay, they don't look like they're going to make it out of these qualification rounds. So, Paul, you want to give any homework that you've took there?
I think the main thing to highlight here is this is their first qualification for a World Cup. They've only been recognised as a nation for about 5 years, just like the men have. So, they are still learning. They are still, finding their feet as such. I think the proof that this new formatting system is for the qualification, taking a Nations League style approach, is working. The fact that they lost 11-0 to Slovakia who are a team that are ranked very similar in the Nations League. Just imagine what that would be like. I was at the game between England and Latvia a few years ago that finished 20-0.
Crazy.
So, and that was in the old qualification format. So I think it just highlights that all these teams, although Gibraltar are losing every single one, they are playing teams that are of similar ranking to them.
Yeah.
So it's not like they are going to get thumped 20-0 week in, week out playing for them, but there's still a long way to go for places like that. But I mean, they've got such a small pool of people to choose from, even less than, as we spoke earlier, the likes of Poland and places. So it's going to be virtually impossible for them long term to establish themselves. I mean, if they get a draw, that'll probably be a great result, and they'll be out on the piss for the weekend.
And Gibraltar, I heard it's cheap.
Well, okay, it might be a whole week then. But yeah, it just highlights the different levels there are across Europe.
Definitely. Kev, obviously, how difficult would it be for a team to obviously build depth when your player pool was so small?
Oh, it's it's probably not going to happen. I mean, they're probably going to be relying on the bare bones, because obviously there's not going to be a massive league structure on Gibraltar.
Yeah.
3 teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 teams, come on.
Yeah, it's they're going to be picking the best that they've got available. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that they could all of a sudden dig up some superstar players. It does happen. People come from obscurity and all of a sudden, boom. But highly unlikely. So, but I mean, it's good for the lower ranked sides to play each other and have a chance of qualifying for a big tournament. But by that same token, the way it's done, some of the bigger teams will fall by the wayside, won't qualify. I'll give you the Men's World Cup. No Italy.
And you think how dominating Italy have been in the past, Kev?
Yeah, but this
is what their third World Cup
works now.
Yeah.
It's you will lose some of the big teams, and you'll get a couple of minnows in there.
Yeah.
Yes, it does then great to qualify for a World Cup final. But yeah, it's a balance. And it is aimed at trying to spread, grow the game in the smaller nations. And that's the whole reason for it being done. I can understand it, but you tell the Italians that's what it's all about.
I don't think I want to fight with an Italian. As a Scot, fighting with an Italian is not a very good idea. There it is. So obviously, before we finish, we'll obviously talk about the USA, especially with Catherine being here. They're playing Japan 3 times in friendlies this break, which I find bizarre to play 3 times in one international break, which is, I don't know why the USA can say, playing 3 games is really good. Catherine, what kind of impact does that obviously have on players that already have packed schedules at club, and then especially ones that have to come overseas to play for the clubs?
I think the choice to play three games in this window, which is the maximum allowed by FIFA, is 100% dependent on the manager. And good old Emma Hayes, are you seriously going to tell me that she's not going to take the maximum number of games that she can play if they are not playing in a competitive mini tournament or in any sort of competitive World Cup qualifiers, because that's, I think for CONCACAF, that's going to be a fall qualifiers type situation. So Emma Hayes is very much taking advantage of, we can play 3 games, we are going to play 3 games. And the one thing that I have appreciated from her over the last few international windows is she actually is rotating her players out. And where, I don't even remember who the manager was prior to Emma Hayes, but Emily Fox would be traveling over and be playing 90 minutes in every single game.
Yeah.
And Lindsay Heaps would be coming over from France and playing 90 minutes every single game.
Yeah.
And Emma Hayes is like, okay, I'm going to rotate. I'm still trying to find my squad of who I'm going to be bringing to the World Cup. I think another big reason why there's 3 games for the U.S. is because a lot of these players are just getting into the start of their season. The NWSL started a month ago now, not even a month ago. I don't know. Most of the teams are five games in, but there have already been some midweek games. So it's the start of their season. I think there's four players, I think, that are coming over from Europe. Lindsay Heaps, Sam Coffey, Lily Johannes, Emily Fox, and maybe Corbin Albert, so maybe 5. So I think the one thing that Emma Hayes does great is she doesn't limit her squad size to 23. She'll expand. I mean, I know right now the European teams are very strict on what they are allowed, how many players they are allowed to bring in. But to be able to expand that pool and say, I'm gonna bring in 28 players for this international window, it gives her the ability to rest those international players. I mean, I don't think you want to not see what Emily Fox has progressed since the last international window and what she can bring to the international squad. Same with Lindsay Heaps and Lily Johannes, who I think is still fairly limited on the minutes that she's playing in France right now. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I don't like that they're playing 3 games. I will say that I don't like that they're playing 3 games because, the team, they're the players that play in Europe right now. If they get injured, they're out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
That's the harsh reality at this point. I mean, there's most of this season. The Champions League final is May 23rd, so that's a month and a half away. So you think about that. A player gets injured, they're out for 3 to 4 weeks. That's pretty much their season done.
Yeah.
And NWSL, yeah, you can get a little bit riskier because the season's just starting. So I don't like that the European players came over, but it's Emma Hayes. She's kind of going to do what she wants to do, but she seems to be more in tune with the women's health side of thing in making sure that the physios know what her expectations are of the players and understanding everything that goes in behind that.
Yeah. Paul, obviously touching on USA a little bit, do you think the USA still set global standards, or do you think other nations are catching up to them now?
I think there's a lot of teams, countries in Europe especially, that are catching up with them, and yes, they are still one of the top teams in the world. But when you look at the likes of the England, Spain's, Germany's, then I think it's get all of those to the tournament, and I think it's going to be a great tournament. So there's definitely others catching up, and even in Europe we're seeing the slightly lower ones are catching up with the ones that have been dominating for years. So I think globally it is catching up. It's a slow process. It's not going to happen by this World Cup. It's not going to happen. It's going to be another sort of 20-30 years before it really takes effect. But they are. I don't think America are the team anymore. It's a group of a few.
I think
I don't see Team USA sitting as that top player or that top team right now. I think I will say the one thing that I think the US is doing better than say England right now is getting in the youth players and actually bringing them up to the senior team. I think since Emma Hayes took over USA, I mean, if you look at same time frames, USA has had like something like at least 15 senior debuts. Some of them with older players, some of them with those that were playing on like the under 23s. You look at England. England has had what 3 or 4 debuts in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to take into consideration too, is how these nations in the next 3 to 5 years, how many players are they bringing up into that senior squad? Otherwise, you're going to end up with players that are out on pregnancy, out on retirement, and bringing in a very, very green side. And I think that could be very detrimental to some of these powerhouses. Like Spain, if Spain is constantly relying on like Patria, Aitana, and Alexia, they've got 2, 3, well, some of them have maybe 3 really good years left in them, or even some of their defenders. So, and it's something that I think doesn't get seen and looked at enough from the under 23s and how those players are, how or if they are getting integrated into the senior team.
Yeah. Kev, for however long the USA have obviously had their national team, they've always seemed like 10 steps ahead of every other national team, haven't they? Like, it's taken a long time for teams to catch up to the USA.
Yeah, and that goes, I mean, back in the day, that goes back to the college system.
Yeah.
When I was coaching in the 1990s, just make me old, we had a team, I was contacted by a team that were coming over from the States and wanted a couple of friendlies. So I thought, yeah, we'll play it. We'll play it. You come to us. We've got a private football ground. I just thought it was a college side, on tour. And when they turned up, it was the California State under 18s. And they absolutely wiped the floor with us. Like I say, there wasn't an ounce of excess weight on one of them. They were athletes first, footballers second. And that's what I believe the difference was, is why America basically had that period at the top of the game, because their fitness regimes were second to none. And so they didn't have to worry about their fitness. All they had to worry about was their football content.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have been caught and passed. And Emma Hayes, I think, much as I really do love Emma,
Take your Arsenal hat off now, Kev.
she is what they need.
Yeah.
She is what they need to bring them
There's
back.
definitely no taking that away from Emma Hayes, that she's not a very good coach. Like, we've seen that, obviously, with her being in the WSL, as much as us as Arsenal fans want to say, oh, Emma Hayes, she's a good coach. She knows what she wants out of players. Like, Catherine sent me a clip today where Emma Hayes is saying, I actually looked into the mental state of a woman when she's on a menstrual cycle. Like, I looked into stuff like that and seen how that affects players. So in terms of Emma Hayes just being, she's not just a coach, but she wants to understand her players and how they go forward, and obviously their footballing career. And I think and I said this to Catherine as well, I think that's a downfall at Chelsea at the moment, that they don't actually have a manager who understands the players and doesn't understand their emotions behind the person that they are. And I think that's why a lot of Chelsea players are now turning around and saying, I don't want to play for this manager. Considering what we had previously, we had someone who understood us, who looked into our emotions. So I do genuinely think, as much as we say, oh, Emma Hayes, we don't like her from being at Chelsea, but we also have to accept the fact as well that Emma Hayes was part of the pivotal role at Arsenal on winning the first European trophy. She was there. She was in the background, like, so.
I mean, she learned from the best.
Yeah,
Can't deny that.
yeah.
I
Vicky,
think
because like, yeah, definitely. So I think obviously before we move on, Catherine, you want to touch on the new goalkeeping rule that has been brought into the NWSL and obviously over in America. If you want to touch on that, and then
I am going to
we'll
have to
close
just
out the show.
disappear now, Laura, I'm afraid.
No worries, Paul. Thank you
but
very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll
Bye,
see
have
you
a
all
good
soon.
one. I don't particularly think it is a extremely new rule. It is just being more strongly enforced. So Premier League started, they got new rules. One of them was goalkeeper holds on to the ball for more than 8 seconds. A corner will be conceded to the opposition. We've not seen that actually taken into effect in the Premier League. The NWSL this season is hammering down on their rules and regulations, and one of them is that 8-second rule. And shock, the biggest goalkeeper that is having problems getting rid of the ball in 8 seconds, Ann-Katrin Berger, she's conceded, at least I think, kind of did a little searching. She's conceded, I think, at least 2 corners in one game for time wasting on a goal kick. And I think it's the fact that it's being enforced in the NWSL. I know it is very different refereeings between the NWSL and the WSL, but it's something that they are wanting to bring onto every other domestic league, onto the international stage. And if you have referees at the World Cup, they need to be consistent on their refereeing. So it's kind of like if one ref says, "Hey, we're gonna be enforcing this. We're gonna be enforcing it across all games." That's part one of goalkeepers. The other one, if a goalkeeper goes down in an effort to time waste, or be injured, the players on both sides can either convene at a location where they were when the ball or when play was stopped, as long as it is not next to the bench. They cannot contact their managers to gain any sort of information, change of tactics. They need to stay essentially in their own defensive halves, not going over to their keeper that's down injured, that's being attended to. They can't go over to the sidelines to get an update on tactics, and that is being enforced. And players that want to complain that are not the captains will get yellow carded if they go and talk to the referee and say, yeah, this we need to go over there. The NWSL in their first 5 games are cracking down on the new rules and actually having them in effect. And I think some of these are going to be put into effect into the WSL next season. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they put that into effect. The fans of the NWSL have kind of nicknamed the goalkeeper rule the Ann-Katrin Berger rule, because she, like a certain keeper that plays in the NWSL, goes down with an injury conveniently around the 60-minute mark for a tactical timeout. So it's something that I think will be very interesting to see how it plays out throughout the rest of the season in the NWSL, and how it could relate over into Europe. Essentially, I think we've seen, like, Liga F, they've implemented VAR. That's been a thing in their league, I think, for at least 2 seasons now. I'm not sure on all of the rules for the French and German leagues, but it's something that I think we could start to see implemented a little bit more consistently, especially with the World Cup happening next summer for the women. And
And I think European teams need to start getting used to that kind of thing, because it could cause a lot of trouble going into the World Cup. I think if like the WSL don't start implementing it, if obviously the League F don't start implementing it properly, like, it will cause a lot of trouble going forward to tournaments, I think, for further down the line, I think, and it just needs to start being implemented, and it needs to be a rule that needs to stick, really.
this is how much that they've been implementing all of their rule changes. In the 5 games that they've had so far, there are 4 teams that have only played 4 games. There have been 94 yellow cards. 94.
Jesus
And
Christ.
6 red cards. Do you know how many yellow cards there are in the WSL so far this season, with roughly 19 games being played?
You hit us with that stat queen, on you go.
287. With 7 red cards. So, I mean, you kind of look at this and you break it out. I mean, there's 16 teams in the NWSL. 4 more teams than the WSL. There's already 94 yellow cards in through 5 games.
Yeah.
They could be looking at over 350, over 400 yellow cards in a single season. But I think the beginning of the season is when you want to see the referees crack down on all of these rule changes. I think the opening weekend of there were, I think, 2 or 3 red cards in the opening weekend, because they were in the NWSL. Apparently, though, this season, you can get a yellow card reduction. It's called the good behavior rule, where if you go 5 games in a row without receiving a yellow card, you can have, like, you can get your yellow card accumulation reduced by 1, which would then prevent you from having a suspension later on. So the fact that they are implementing these new rules, handing out yellow cards left and right, but don't worry, we're going to implement a good behavior rule as well. Which I find absolutely hilarious.
There's always got to be a loophole to these kind of things, isn't there? Like, it can't just be as simple as, it's not going to be allowed to do it. You're not going to be allowed to do it, so don't do it. Simple. But I suppose we could sit here all night, as I say, we could sit here all night, talk about other teams and obviously the up and coming international games that are coming up. We could sit and talk about rules. I suppose, as I say, there's going to be very many other shows that we maybe want to talk about here. So, I think we'll maybe wrap that up for the night here. We're already 23 minutes over, which for the first show, I think
Not bad.
is good. So obviously, thank you so much to everyone for watching our very first show on the new channel. It's really appreciated. If you could like and subscribe, that would be amazing. And obviously, a huge thank you to my guests that joined me tonight. Paul, obviously, who's away. Thank you to him. And thank you very much, Catherine, as usual, for your stats that you provide for any of the channels that we have. I really appreciate that.
Always fun looking up the fun stats, or the oddball ones.
If anybody has seen mine and Catherine's chats between each other, it's stats or videos that's been sent between each other. That it's very interesting.
I always feel bad spamming you, but I feel like you can take the spamming.
Yeah, I don't mind it. And of course, Kev, thank you very much for coming on. I always appreciate it when you're on a show with me.
Always a pleasure to talk football, women's football in particular. Yeah. All good.
Just remember, no one cares about women's football, Kev.
No, nobody watches.
Only like the 70,000 or so that are going to Wembley in a couple of days.
Definitely not. So, like I said, just make sure you like, share, and mostly important, subscribe to the channel. There's plenty more to come. And from all of us, good night, and we'll see you soon for the next episode of the Women's Football Chat Show.